And I think, if you pay attention to the timeline here, the tapes were destroyed in November of 2005, 3 years after the conduct that's depicted on them took place. What was going on in November of 2005? Do you remember? The Senate had just passed the McCain Amendment. There was a vigorous debate going on in Congress about the ban on cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, whether or not that would apply to the CIA as well as the military, getting people back onto the standards of the Army Field Manual. And the Vice President was engaged in a pitched battle trying to carve out exceptions for the CIA from the ban on cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. And that's when the tapes were destroyed. The CIA must have known at that time that there was eroding political support for a program of enhanced interrogation techniques. Now, I think the investigation into the destruction of the tapes is important. I think what Congress is going to do here is extremely important. And, I have my own views about how the Justice Department investigation ought to be set up. I think it's not no matter how much integrity this individual prosecutor has, he is embedded in a chain of command that is infected with conflicts of interest, because at every level the Justice Department was involved in vetting the conduct that you see on the tapes. So I think that that's not an investigation that's likely to get at what I think is more important even than the question of the illegality of the destruction of the tapes themselves. Ever since Abu Ghraib, we have seen the accountability mechanisms here. Everything flows downstream. At Abu Ghraib, there was one death at Abu Ghraib, and there were pictures of it, of the man after he died, the Iceman they call him. Because he was packed in ice. And there were soldiers who took pictures. Those soldiers are serving time right now. The people who were involved in killing that prisoner are not. And, if these investigations, congressional and executive branch, do their jobs, then finally this pattern of punishing the monkey and letting the organ grinder go will be broken. That's what we need to have. And, I really do think that it's a little bit, David, problematic to say, this is a political question when the details about what the public needs in order to make decisions about this are withheld. I mean, I really think that, the reason why those tapes are destroyed is that people who knew what was on them, who had seen them, knew what we know, that any American, any 9/11 prosecutor who watched what was happening in the interrogation, but any decent American would know when they saw that is conduct that shocks the conscience under the legal standard and is not permitted. But we don't have the benefit of that because of the destruction of the tapes. So I know that there are costs to revelations, but if the CIA wants to avoid another Church Committee style overhaul and investigation, what it ought to do is ask instead of oppose Congress to enact the Intelligence Authorization Bill that has this provision that would bring the CIA interrogations into the standards set out in the Army Field Manual. That is a way to restore confidence, and I really think it's the only way, is to address the underlying conduct here.